Hi, it's Wednesday. That means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and today we're going to discuss what you do when a widower gives you something of the late wife's as a present. Yes, I know a lot of you just cringe thinking, oh my heck, I can't believe that a widower would go out there and actually gift his new girlfriend something from the late wife, but it happens way more often than you think. Unfortunately, it does. But we're going to talk about what to do when that happens, and the incident I'm going to share today. It does come from the Dating a Widower group that I moderate on Facebook. Feel free to go ahead and join. I do share this with the permission of the author, so thank you for letting me share it. Again, I think it's a concern that I think you'd be a little surprised how often this happens. But again, what do you do when the widower gives you something of the late wife's as a gift? Yeah, this is going to be fun. All right. So the post, the part of the post that I'm sharing goes like this. I think I received some of the late wife's jewelry for Christmas. A few months ago, when I was helping him move and going through her things, I found some jewelry and asked him, "What are you going to do with this stuff?" He said that I could always use it for Christmas presents, and now I think he gave some of it to me. I'm not sure what to think or do. Are there thoughts? And she gives a little bit of time frame. She's been the late wife has been dead 2 years, and they've been dating about a year and a half. So okay, so what do you do? So and again, you can apply this outside of Christmas. You can apply it to your birthday. You can apply it to any kind of special occasion where the widower gives you a gift, and you open it up, and there's something. You open it up and you're like, wait a minute, is this something that belonged to the late wife? You can also apply this to, it's very common, for example, for widowers to, offer maybe the late wife's clothes to the woman they're dating, things like that. So anyway, there's lots of situations you can apply this to, but I'm going to specifically talk about, giving the late wife's jewelry for Christmas, but, fill in the blanks here to apply it to your own situation. So what do you do when that happens? The first thing you've got to do is don't panic. Odds are that first of all, realize this happens more often than you think. Not just with jewelry, but her clothes, her makeup, kitchen items, etc. Don't panic, though. I mean, odds are, and this is most of the time, the widower is just being practical, and he's trying to find a good use for things. He's not trying to make you into the late wife. Now, that does happen occasionally. I'll get into that in a minute. But usually, it's the widower who's new to dating, who's new to a relationship, and it generally comes because incidents like this happen because they're making progress in the sense that they are cleaning out the late wife's stuff. And, it's like you have a whole closet full of stuff. It's like, well, what do you want to do with it? Well, do you want some of it? Or in this case, it was a jewelry, and he's thinking like, oh, this jewelry's really pretty. I'm going to, maybe she'd like it. Again, most of the time, I only say 90% of the time, the widower is just being practical. And no, he's not thinking it through. He's not thinking that, that you're not the late wife and have different tastes and stuff like that. But just, if he's new to being a widower and he's new to dating, and this is like his first relationship, just cut him some slack here. So don't panic. He's not trying to, make you into the late wife. But what you need to do is you need to kindly but very firmly explain to him that you have different tastes than the late wife. Now, it's important that when you do this, you're not demeaning the late wife or making her sound like she had bad taste. You just say, look, me and the late wife, we are different people. We have different tastes. Your wife had, great taste, but it's not, that's just not stuff that I would wear. And you need to tell him also, hey, you appreciate the thought, but you would just, you understand what you're trying to do. He has a good heart. But what you would really like is something that represents your tastes and the new relationship. And if the widower's kind of up for that, I mean, you can even take it a step farther and say, hey, if you want to get online and see some stuff that I like, if you want to look at some jewelry that I like or some clothes that I like or something like that, I'm more than happy to help educate you. So in the future, when you give me a present, it's something more along the lines of just of me. Now, the question might come up. So anyway, so that's what you do. You don't panic. just explain to him, you're not the late wife, and feel free to educate him on what you like. And by the way, that's a great thing that you can do. If you can educate him on things that you like, it does help the gift giving process at some point in the future. Now, the question may come up. The widower may stand there and say, well, I don't know what to do with this. What do I do with this jewelry or her clothes or anything else like that? So if that does come up and, he's not thinking like, come on, you can think of stuff, widowers, you can usually think of something to do with this. But if you can't think of anything, generally what I do is just suggest that he offer it to, if he has kids, do you have kids that want this? Do you have other family members that would be interested? But if not, if he wants to hold on to a few things, that's fine. Put them in a couple boxes out of the way. But for the most part, if the family doesn't want them, if there's friends that don't want them, and he's looking for them, he can sell them. He can donate them to thrift stores. There's lots of things that can be done with it. So good on him for trying to get rid of for trying to clean out the late wife stuff. Okay, it was a mistake. Shouldn't have offered you the jewelry or whatever it was, her clothes. But again, don't panic. Again, he's probably being practical here. I'll even give you an example. Now, I never did offer Julie. I know some of you are thinking, well, did you ever offer Julie, clothes or anything? No, I didn't do that. I didn't. I was somewhat aware enough to not want to offer Julie my late wife's clothes. But I will tell you one case where I was being practical that really does kind of relate to this. When we were shopping for wedding bands, when Julie and I were looking for a wedding ring and stuff like that, when the conversation came up, I was kind of like, hey, we should go look for wedding rings. And Julie's like, hey, that's awesome, let's go look for wedding rings. This is a great activity. And I think we were driving to the store, and she's like, well, while we're looking for me, we can look for you. And I was kind of looked at her and said, well, I don't need a wedding band, I already have one. And I could just kind of feel, how the air just kind of gets icy or something like that. I could just kind of feel the air get icy. And Julie just kind of looked at me like, are you serious? You're gonna wear the wedding band that you and the represented your marriage with Krista. And I immediately got it. I was like, okay, that was a really stupid thing to say. But my heart, inside, I was just trying to be practical. I was just like, well, I've got a wedding band. I was not thinking that, hey, I've got this wedding band and I want to do it because it represents my everlasting love for Krista or anything like that. It was just like, I've got a wedding band. Do I really need a second one? And the answer is yes. Yes, I needed a new wedding band. And by the way, here's my new wedding band. If you can see it there. See, I've got a new wedding band. I've worn it for, all the years we've been married. But anyway, so I'm just saying it, even the best widowers, they're just, oftentimes it's just trying to be practical here. Now, this is only a red flag if he keeps offering you stuff after you've had this conversation. So, so you say, hey, I appreciate the offer of the jewelry or the clothes or whatever, but it's not me. But if he keeps doing it, and trying to encourage you maybe to to wear these clothes and to do your hair a certain way, then you get into creepy territory. And yes, at that point he is trying to maybe make you into the late wife. But honestly, again, 90% of the cases I've done, once it's explained to them, they kind of get it and it doesn't happen again. It is rare that, it does happen. I have had coaching sessions where the woman on the other end of the Zoom call is describing the stuff that he's doing. I'm like, dude, get out of there, run. So it can get creepy if he keeps doing it, or keeps trying to get you to do things like the late wife. But again, he hasn't been a widower before. He doesn't know what to do. He's figuring things out. So this is where you can be patient and loving with him. And honestly, if you have this conversation once, you shouldn't have to have it again. It'll work out fine. Feel free below to share your own stories if the widowers ever offered you anything and how you felt and how you solved that. Like this video, share this video with others. If you have a widower maybe who's been offering you stuff and you want to kind of set them straight, feel free to share this video with them as well. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel too so you can get notifications when a new video is posted. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and I will see you next Wednesday.